standing before the throne and before the Lamb, and they were clothed in white robes and with palm branches in their hands. And they cried out in a loud voice, "Salvation belongs to our God, who is seated on the throne, and to the Lamb." And so, God, we praise you that one day we will be around your throne, and God, that there will be every tribe and every language will be represented around that throne. And God, we just pray that we would continue to search after those tribes and those language groups, God, that do not know your name. It's in your name we pray. Amen. So, my name is Allie White. I am from Clinton, South Carolina. I grew up in this church, just as Tara was saying, and I am an International Mission Board missionary. I have been living in Uganda for the past 20 months, and I will be there until next January. Living cross-culturally has been one of the most humbling and beautiful things that I've ever done. I have had and one of the ways that I'm able to humble myself is I have the incredible opportunity to learn the language from my Ugandan brothers and sisters. And we do this to be able to reach the unreached, and we strive after gospel fluency. And so I continue to learn the language of Luganda, and I continue to learn their culture. And so this is the language among the Baganda tribe, and it is the most frequently used language among all the different residents in Kampala. And so on most days, I feel like a grown toddler. I try to babble in this new language, and I'm constantly given corrections or weird looks. But I still try to use it. I use it every day. And one of my many, many mistakes happened probably a couple months after living there. I was going to the petrol station, or as we say, the gas station, and I was going to get some gas. And I was like, I'm going to try to use my Luganda. I'm going to push through. And the word for gas and the word for pee are almost the same. And so I roll up to the gas station and I say, I need some gas, or at least I thought I did. And apparently I said, I need pee. And so I got some pretty funny looks from my gas attendant, and then I realized my mistake, and I was like, wait, I need gas. I don't need pee, I need gas. And so it's just a constant way for me to be able to lower myself and to be able to learn from this culture. And so when most people think of Africa, they think of something like this, the bush. You know, the bumpy roads, the latrines, the thatched houses. But I actually live here. This is Kampala, Uganda. It is over 4 million people live here. For every one car, there is 8 bodas, which are our main form of taxi. It's a motorcycle, very dangerous. But that is life, and I love it, and I never thought I would live in a huge, big city. Actually, my first time going through Kampala a couple years ago, I looked at someone and I said, I will never live here. I don't want to deal with this. Well, God thought that was really funny. And so I work in Kampala along with about 6 other units, so families, singles, older couples, married couples with kids, and we all work together to see the residents of Kampala know Christ and to make disciples who make disciples. And so the next slide, these are just a couple fun facts about Uganda, Africa. So 21,462 people die in sub-Saharan Africa daily without Christ. There are currently 989 tribes in Africa who have no presence of the gospel at all. But there is But then Africa will be 60% urban by the year 2050. And that's pretty awesome because the tribes are coming. Everyone is coming to these urban centers where I live. And so I get to meet people from all over the world in one place. So right now, 28.4% of the population in Africa is unreached. And that means it's going down. So right now, the most Christians in the world are in Africa. It's not America. And then lastly, 62% of the population in Africa is under the age of 25. It is one of the youngest places in the world. So for every one old Jaja grandma that I meet, there are hundreds of young children that are rising up to lead this nation afterwards. So next slide is, so I want to introduce you to some of my favorite people in the world. And God has blessed me with some amazing national believing partners that teach me and work beside me for the sake of the gospel. And they have helped me in entry in Uganda. They have helped me discipleship. They have taught me, and they have loved me well. And so in the first picture, that is my language teacher, my best friend, and my coworker, and that's Victoria. And that's us in our wedding cultural outfits, Gomez's. And she has taught me what it means to be a sister. And so the second picture is all of me and my national partners. And so Immaculate is beside me, and then Victoria, and then Beatrice. Immaculate is a seamstress in the community, and she lives among the women that we are seeking to reach. So she is passionate about these women. She is passionate about her community hearing the gospel. And she has taught me what it means to trust that the Lord will take care of his children. And in the last picture has Victoria, me, and Beatrice. And Beatrice is our pastor's wife of our church, Choice Baptist Wabigallo. And she is a hairdresser, and she has taught me what it means to be sacrificial. She is a mother to many in the community, and she always has her door open to her home, and she loves to serve others. So I want to introduce you to the place that I spend most of my time doing ministry. And for security reasons, we are going to call this place Pancake, because that is what it translates to. In English, the word is pancake. And this place used to be known for making plantain pancakes that were sold on the side of the road. And so that's how it's got its name. And in pancake, prostitution is a devastating stronghold among many of the women. And this area has the highest population of women involved in the sex trade industry in Uganda. And many of these women end up in this industry because of severe poverty, addiction, and they were deceived and ended up in prostitution. And if you walk down these roads, these muddy, bumpy roads of Pancake, you will see the sex trade industry is booming from 9 in the morning until the middle of the night. And you will see the sin, how it suffocates this area from gambling, drugs, alcohol abuse, gang violence, and theft. And I remember riding down past the alleyway that leads to all the brothels on a boda. And I remember looking down this place, and I asked, why does this place seem so spiritually dark? And God began working on my heart and my national partners' hearts. He began making us love people that were hard to love. And my national partners and I, we began praying for this area. We began asking the church to pray for this area so that we could find a way to get in. We asked that God would soften hearts over opportunities for us to share the gospel. We would do a prayer walk and make a circle around the area, trying to figure out, is anyone going to let us in? And this led to meeting people at peace and befriending women that were in prostitution. And they began inviting us to come and sit on the steps of their brothel. And so we'd come and sit on their steps and for the women that were outside the brothel, either on break or just sitting out there. We would talk with them, and we would come with Bible stories prepared to tell them, and we'd share our testimonies with them and listen to them. That was a big portion of it. It's just sitting there and being present and listening to their stories. And so the biggest thing that we learned through all of this was that we had to be consistent with these women, because they've had a lot of people that have broken trust with them throughout their whole life. And so for us, we just had to keep coming back, even on the hard days, even on the days that I was like, I do not want to go down to that place. My national partners kept continuing to pour truth in me and remind me that that's how we're being faithful to God, is continuing to go. And so this led to enough interest to begin a weekly Bible study with the women. And this gave us an opportunity to get the women kind of away from their workplace and into a safe place where we could share more deeply in the gospel, and that we could talk with them before they were drunk, and we could be able to they could be a little bit more open with us. And so we were able to disciple these women and connect with them deeper, and that is how Whitestone grew. And so Whitestone grew from our desire to see true transformation in Pancake. And the first transformed heart was Sarah, and I just want to share a little bit of her story. Sarah was a Ugandan Muslim, married to her husband with her children. And when her husband died, her father-in-law came and took everything away from her. Sarah felt trapped, and she turned to prostitution. And she was in prostitution for years. And she hid it from her family. And when she heard that we were having a Bible study in Pancake that day, she decided to come to see if she could get some food from us for the day. And she showed up on our second week of Bible study along with 60 other women. And she had no idea that she was about to be reborn again. She was filled with guilt and shame, and she knew that she was sinful, but she didn't know how to escape that brokenness. Sarah heard the gospel that day, and she decided to follow Jesus. And we sat with her afterwards, and we talked about this big decision that she made. And we told her, hey, your whole family is Muslim. If you decide to do this, they're going to disown you. And she looked at us, and she said, I am willing to do that for this good news that I have heard. And the next week, my friends and I went to visit Sarah at her home, and we sat on the floor of her house, and we were just talking and sharing Bible stories with her, and she was hungry to hear more about this Savior that she just now is in her heart. And her daughter was there, who is also Muslim, and her daughter asked her, Mom, why are these people here? Why are these Christians here? And Sarah looked at her daughter and shared her newfound faith with her daughter, and her daughter accepted Jesus that day too. And Sarah has taught me how to count the cost for the gospel, even to the point of being disowned by her parents, by her family. And even as a new believer, she walks in confidence that she has found the most special gift. It's like the man who found treasure and sold everything he had to go and get that field of treasure. And she knows that God knows her needs. So Sarah is now an active member of our church, Choice Baptist Wabigalo. And she continues to look for side jobs to provide for her family, but she refuses to go back to her old life. So the name for Whitestone comes from Revelations 2:17, and it says, whoever has ears, let them hear what the Spirit says to the churches. To the one who overcomes, I will give some of the hidden manna. I will also give that person a white stone with a new name written on it, known only to the one who receives it. And this has been a verse that we have come back to for so many reasons during this ministry. The one who overcomes is the one who surrenders their life to Christ. And so I want to work my way backwards to kind of show the different beautiful parts of this verse. So the first thing that we're going to look at is just a new name. And so many of our women who we are seeking to reach, they have a work name and they have a home name. And they use their work name while they're at the brothel. And and they would share their work name with us. But as we began to build relationships with them, and as they came to Christ, they began to share their real names with us. And so we saw the impact that it has when we know that God gives us a new name when we become part of his family. White stone. So during the time that John wrote the book of Revelation, white stone had a lot of significance in the Roman Empire. And so when someone was on trial, the Roman Empire, the jury would be given a black stone and a white stone. And if they believed that that person was guilty, they would throw a black stone on the ground. And if they believed that they were innocent, they would throw a white stone. And so if the person was pronounced innocent of their crimes, they would be acquitted. And the judge, when they were leaving the trial, would be given a white stone. And if their crimes ever came into question, they would just show their white stone and say, I am innocent. And so this verse is a beautiful picture of our own salvation in our hearts. We all deserve that black stone, for all have fallen short of the glory of God. But for these women who are full of shame, for them to hear that God doesn't care what they've done, but he cares who they put their trust in. And so for them to hear that has been a really big encouragement for them. And lastly, the hidden manna. It's a picture of Christ. He sustains us and these women. He becomes the bread, the truth, and the life for these women. And the overcomers are the only ones who endures in faith despite trials. And so the hidden manna from heaven will be ours, even if the world cannot understand how we will. We will be strengthened. We will be sustained. And so the white stone, the last one? Oh, is that it? Cool, okay. So the white stone logo, the greatest problem in the world is lostness, and the only solution to the greatest problem in the world is the gospel. And along with our national sisters in Uganda, we desire to train and disciple these group of women as they come out of prostitution through a women's center. And the women would be trained in hairdressing and sewing, and they would be trained by Immaculate and Beatrice, who have been a part of this ministry since the beginning. Our mission for this is to provide hope and to transform the lives of women holistically, spiritually, and mentally, and to enable them to reach their God-given capacity so that they can live lives that glorify God, becoming disciples who make disciples. This Women's Center will be able to provide a place for the women to walk through their trauma and find comfort in their Father. And so we are praying towards this, and we've been working in this ministry we've been working in this area of town for over a year now, and we have seen women leave prostitution through this. But we've also seen a lot of struggle. We've seen women who have been trapped in prostitution for most of their lives and have quit school early. Most of them do not know English, and they're coming out of this, and what did they do now? They know they can't go back to their old life. And so that's where we really have a deep desire to be able to start training these women and to be able to disciple them deeper through a women's center. And so they would be going through a 6-month program where they would be discipled daily. They would learn sewing and hairdressing daily. They would learn other skills like cooking, parenting skills, because they've never had that, to be able to sit down and say, this is what you need to feed your kids at this age. And to be able to help them walk through their trauma. So one big thing that we use is New Hope Trauma Healing, which helps these women be able to look back on their trauma and look and look up, knowing that God still saw them in the trauma and sees them now. And so for ways to help, the number one thing, we would love for you to be able to pray with us. And so my email is up on there. I have a newsletter. I have a Facebook page that are easy ways to be able to connect with me and to find out more specific prayer requests. Right under that is 55 and 5. So there's, like I was saying about all these unreached tribes all over Africa. The IMB, we have found 55 that we are committed to praying for, and that we want to see them be reached in the next 5 years. And so there's ways and opportunities for you to be able to say, I want to pray for a specific tribe. And so there are ways for you to be able to get connected and to learn more about this tribe and find where they live and what they do for livings and what kind of religion they follow, and be able to pray for them specifically. Secondly, go. So I'm coming back in January for some time, and while I'm home, we're gonna begin trying to get people to go over there and go to this women's center. And so I'll be home for a time. I pray that God will continue to lead me back to Kampala. That's the plan right now. And so we would love to be able to have teams come. Whatever you think your skill might be, like if you want to help put on a trauma healing class for them, we can do that. If you have a background in nursing, there's ways for us to be able to do a clinic with these women. They have so much health needs. And a lot of them, so we've been doing a lot of public health clinics, teaching them what it means to take care of their bodies. And so there are opportunities for that. And then right under that, there is a picture of church planner among exploited women. We have jobs on the books if you're like, I'm all in, for you to be able to come and do midterm with us and be there for 2 years to be able to work beside me and my national partners as we work with these exploited women. And lastly, give. So the QR code on the screen will take you directly to our Kampala Urban Team page. And that is a way for you to be able to see what are the specific needs for the Kampala Urban Team, because we have so many sectors of our team that are seeking to reach the unlost in Kampala. And so it takes $100 a month for a woman to go through the Whitestone training program. It'll be a 6-month course, and they will leave being trained in hairdressing, sewing, and they will be discipled so that they can go and make disciples who make disciples. This $100 a month will help for their materials for class, lunch. It'll be paying our teachers to teach these women, and it'll continue to pay rent for our building that we're doing. That is $600 total for a woman to go through our 6-month program. But this $600 could change this woman's life, for sure. She will be able to leave prostitution and be able to have a job that is going to be able to provide for her family. And so we just pray that you would pray for this ministry. We need your prayers. We need prayers for that we would be united as a team, all of us who live in Kampala. Pray for Pancake. Pray that God would call the people of Pancake to him, and that he would restore this place. We're already seeing glimmers of God restoring this place just by these women leaving and finding newfound freedom. And so pray that God would continue to restore. And you can find out more immediate prayer requests by getting on my newsletter or my private Facebook page. And so, thank you guys so much. Thank y'all for pouring into me as a kid, and for praying for me, and for believing in me, and for believing in the Kampala Urban Team. And thank you for being a part of reaching the nations. So, thank you.